Moon, oh moon, where is my moon? I wanna see your light shining oh so bright. Oh moon, where is my moon? I wanna see your light shining oh so bright. Oh moon. Greetings, cosmic beings. Queen Mama Moon here, coming to you with your weekly foresight review of last week and a preview into this week. So let me take a sip of water for clarity. Thank you, God, for clarity. Last week, we dug into self-love, okay? And this week, we have truth. So we're going to deal with your authentic voice and your authentic way of handling honesty, okay? As we build and innovate and move into the new dimension of this new world, we have to be an honest, authentic people. Otherwise, we're just going to replicate the default devilish ways of the previous worlds that we had before. Okay, there's nothing wrong with having something to work on, but we need to be honest about it. So not only do we work on it, but we can help our children and their children and their children's children not have to deal with the same things in the DNA. And if something does come up, we have a legacy to show them and a blueprint to help them go on through life in the way that best suits them in a godly, righteous manner. Okay, so let's dig in. We're going to go in the format of mind, body, spirit, family, and business. Okay, so last week when we were dealing with self-love, you stop mentally pushing yourself for being human, right? Because we were talking about that spiritual versus human type thing, right? Where we would override our human feelings with our spirituality, right? So we really dug into that and allowed ourselves to know that we're human for a reason. And we're God in this human form for a reason. And that's okay, right? And so it's our responsibility to manage how to balance that knowing and balance that being, right? And what's happening this week as an elongated extension from what we built on from last week is the truth is that we're going to have clear thoughts and we're going to deal with that. Much more fewer spirals and mental honesty that replaces overthinking, okay? Sometimes we overthink because we're trying to pretend like something isn't what it is. But when you're honest, you can deal with where it is and then say, I need to get rid of it, keep it, or make some adjustments, okay? And our rising signal that we're really going to dig in with that is that if it feels simple, it's probably accurate, okay? Sometimes you need something more simple to build that foundation, like a seed. It looks simple, but it turns into something very complex and beautiful, right? Okay, and then for our body, last week in self-love, you listened before your body had to escalate. So this is not only listening to our body when it comes to what we are feeding ourselves with food, but what we're feeding ourselves with our scrolls and what we're feeding ourselves in our soul with our nervous system and relationships, circumstances, situations, thought patterns, habits, addictions, right? Okay, and what's coming up for this week, the truth, is your body is going to tell you the truth faster than words. So as we handle the truth regarding self-love and listening to your body, now that you're listening, we're really going to be looking for those signals of truth, okay? Before the words come. And if it's tight, these are the rising signals that are going to help you get into that value. It's a no, baby, okay? But if you feel easy and you feel fluid and you feel like you could just go, that's a yes, okay? And then spirit, from last week in self-love, you stopped forcing connections, okay? If it don't fit, don't force it. Just relax and let it flow, right? Okay? So you stopped forcing connections last week, and that's self-love, okay? And moving into truth is alignment feels quiet, not euphoric. Okay? And so after you get into alignment, then you can dip into those euphoria feelings, right? But before, you need to make sure you know you're in something stable. So you don't want to jump into something because it feels euphoric first, because it may be a trap. Oh, right? Okay. And the signal is peace replaces seeking. If you're seeking too far, too long, too deep, maybe you need to stop and see what it is you truly need. Okay? And family. Last week with self-love, you honored your capacity instead of chasing urgency. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Remember that? You should be very proud of yourself for that, okay? And then this week coming up, what works is going to be obvious. You're not going to have to go back and forth and scroll and see, is this it? Is it it? Is it it? Is it it? It's going to be obvious. You're going to know. Your nervous system's going to let you know, okay? And what drains you is going to stand out. It's going to be obvious too. So if it's a fit, it's going to be obvious. If it needs to sit out, that's going to be obvious too, okay? And the truth signal is going to be that sustainability is going to be priority over hustle. Okay? So we've been in that hustle mode, but we are more mature now. So now we're building something that's going to last, like our families and our marriages and our legacy. Okay? And just to wrap this all up, we didn't talk about business. So self-love and business last week, you honored your capacity instead of chasing urgency. Okay, so you might have had some ideas, but because you were fearful of some things, but you listened to your nervous system. Good job. And when you felt yourself and your nervous system saying, oh, what's happening? What's going on? You listened and you said, oh, maybe these are old patterns trying to pop up. Let me stop and build into something that's more long-term instead of trying to satisfy overriding these feelings for now. You actually sat with some of those feelings to figure out what the true solution is. Congratulations. And the truth that's going to happen that you're going to face with honesty and authenticity this week coming up is you're going to see the dynamics are what they are without resentment, okay? And you're going to have compassion, even in business, with boundaries. So it doesn't matter who's been working with you. And this is going to be the same thing with family too. You're going to have compassion and boundaries, so you can still love people from afar. Okay? You don't need to be all up in their grill. If they got a little demon on their back, you can love them from afar. Okay? And it doesn't mean people don't rectify and they don't cleanse their spirits and they don't get better. But sometimes they do, and you still need to have that separation. But you're going to know the difference because your nervous system is going to say, this is what you need to do, okay? And the closing anchor for our review and preview is that truth doesn't demand action, okay? It doesn't demand action. It invites alignment. And you'll move when you're ready because now you actually know where you're going. How exciting is that? And so when you know where you're going without question, you can rest assured that in divine timing, it's going to happen. And so in the meantime, instead of getting all anxious and getting yourself out of alignment, that means you need to focus on what God is trying to tell you to do. Because if you're not there yet, that means there's some things that still need to get in order. Okay? So when you know what you know, just know it. And still allow the divine flow to be where it's at in the timing right then. Okay? All right. I'm so happy for us and how well you have been honoring your self-love. And I'm excited for how you honor your truth coming up this week. I'm here for you. And we're going to dig in. We are going to handle it. Okay? Queen Mama Moon here. Until next time, no matter what you do or how you do it, be authentic. Peace, y'all.